Welcome to the podcast where good trivia gets rewarded and lies are punished. But will we detect the lies? This is What's the Fact.
My lies are undetectable. My name's Ryan Whittle, and this is Warren Robertson.
Your
Welcome
lies are
to the show.
ungoogleable, right?
Yeah, that's how you win this show.
Yeah, you just make shit up about your mother.
And your high school and the town you were born in, Headless Harry.
And die tomati boom. What?
Shucks, folks, die tomati plant, the poem, please.
Nobody has
Help
proven.
me win that one against Warren.
Yeah, if you've watched the poetry episode, nobody's been able to prove whether or not the tomati plant is a real thing. This week, though, Dietz has left us a couple of topics, and this week it's space.
Ooh,
Space. I
very
don't know.
intellectual.
Like either he means up there, not heaven, Ryan. In the outer realms above our atmosphere, or maybe it means like this new Korean kind of predilection with cleaning your house. It's one of the two things. Throwing away all of your clutter, or
is that what those TikTok videos are all about?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Who's got that kind of time though?
I'm surprised you got the time to watch those between all the ASMR videos you watch.
Well, it's on ASMR.
I see. Okay.
Did you not know that's on ASMR? Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's ASMR, daughter. It's not weird sex noises. Let's just clarify that.
It's definitely weird sex noises. Anyway, I mean, on that topic, I'm going to start with something that's relatively simple. It's obviously true, this one. It's Earth.
Yeah.
Our solar system, our galaxy,
Yes.
and millions of other galaxies
Yes.
are slowly being drawn towards a gravitational anomaly
Right.
known as the Great Attractor. And I know you are surprised to hear that the Great Attractor isn't my nickname from high school. But this is my fact, right?
Where's this thing? Is it in the middle? Is that because I'm interrogating you now on your fact? Would you say the Great Attractor is maybe in the middle of it all?
The middle of space. I mean, it's not near the gravitational central point, if that's what you mean. The gravitational central point, obviously, being center point of the universe that everything is orbiting around, and so everything's orbiting around the gravitational central point, and it's expanding outwards. But what's happening here, this kind of strange sort of anomaly in this subsection of space, is that while the things are doing this, they're also being drawn inexorably closer to a phenomenon that we can't see, called the Great Attractor, which they say must be really hugely gravitational, and if it's pulling things from millions of light years away,
Well,
across space, yeah, it's
yeah.
a real thing. I'm not making it up.
I dabble in space, just here and there,
Space.
just when I see a headline or something. But it's really too mind-mangling. I haven't really ever delved into it except watching a season of Star Trek, and that was great.
I mean, that'll help you here for sure.
Well, I know there's a thing called antimatter, which is like they know it's got to exist because there's a force pulling something somewhere. So I know about antimatter.
Oh, you mean like dark matter? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying it's called the Great Attractor, and it's this great unknown. I'm like, no. I think it started with a lie. I think it's whatever it is. It's antimatter, or dark matter, or a black hole.
But you see, I mean, you are saying it's possible that things are being drawn towards a great attractor of
Not
some
one
kind.
in the I just think it's, but they know because there's an obvious force. It's got to have something about it, even though they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But is it one thing called the Great
No.
Attractor
So
in the
it's just
universe?
in this
Are there
particular
many great attractors or one great attractor?
No, what I'm saying
the
is
whole
in
universe.
this. What I'm saying is in this part of the universe. So
Okay.
not the whole universe. In this part of the universe, which we happen to be in, things are not only being, revolving around the galactic central point, but they are also being drawn inexorably towards whatever this thing is.
No lies. It's a lie.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I mean, as it turns out, it's true.
Good grief.
Yeah, and it's I mean, this is the thing about it, right? So it's in a part of the the universe that we can't see.
Shucks.
So it's behind us, on the other side of the Milky Way. So we have to try and look through all the denseness of the Milky Way, all the stars and everything on the Milky Way, and we cannot see the other side of the Milky Way through all of that clutter. And it's on the other side there. And we know it's there because if we look in that direction, we can see that everything, all the galaxies, everything are redshifted, which means they're moving away from us. And by calculating at what angle they're redshifted, we can see that they are all, in fact, moving towards one sort of central something that is on this other side of the Milky Way. And it'll take us, with the Milky Way turns, right? But it's going to take us 100 million years before our planet is now facing whatever this particular thing is. But, in 2016, a multinational team, but it was led by South African astronomers, mainly Sikran Korteweg. They discovered a supercluster called the Vela supercluster in the region of the Great Attractor, which would be really dense kind of amounts of stars.
So they're literally calling it the Great Attractor.
They're calling it the Great Attractor because they literally don't know what it is. We can see its effect on things. There's all kinds of theories as to what it could be. As you mentioned dark energy.
It's a turtle. It's a floating turtle standing on 4 great elephants.
Yeah, it's actually God drank too much beer and we're in his stomach and he's and that's what's happening. That's why we don't know what it is.
It's so exciting though.
Yeah, but so the most stuff that we know about it was discovered at Salt at Sutherland. Yeah, and I don't know if you've been to Sutherland.
No.
So the SALT is obviously the South African Large Telescope, is what it stands for. And if you haven't been to Sutherland and you get a chance, go. It's amazing.
Wow, man,
because
wonderful.
It's not just it's kind of stars and star shows, but there's fossils out there, and people are just trying to talk to me now.
It's people going, "We love you, Warren. You go Sutherland, go Sutherland."
Yeah, it's Sutherland people. Yeah, but. Yeah, so if you get a chance, go to Sutherland because it's a very interesting place. There's a dormant volcano there that you can go and hike up as the farmer leaves his gate unlocked, and I mean it's really like and then they do the star shows. So if you go up there, make sure that you go when the moon is as small as possible. It's not full moon because that makes the vision more difficult. You can't see as much. But yeah, so a team there at SALT, which is the big telescope that's there, basically they believe it's this massive supercluster, and they think that the supercluster could be responsible. We don't know whether it's a supercluster or whether the supercluster exists because it's been attracted by this great attractor. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, there's theories that it could be dark flow, which is the movement of dark energy. But yeah, and it acts against the general kind of outward expansion of the universe, and so we know that it's incredibly powerful, whatever it is.
Because it's countering that.
Yeah, because it's countering that, and so it's this funny thing that we are essentially that idiot, in the pantomime who's standing at the front of the stage going, "What's that, kids?" And the kids are going, "Behind you, behind you." So we're, what's that, kiddies? Yeah, that's us as a species.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I find all this space stuff mind-mangling, and my facts are probably mind-mangling as well. But you'll be happy to know my first fact is proudly South African too. Do you know of Prof. David Block? Yeah, professorship is it's not a title, it's a position. So when it's finished, it's finished. But I don't know if he's still a professor at Wits. But David Block, he's been in the cover of Nature magazine twice. I think his thing was he discovered the remnants of a exploded galaxy or something.
Okay.
But he's a much celebrated
I've certainly
astronomer.
heard of him. I've certainly heard of him. I don't, like if you... He's not one of those professors where I would know instantly what his work was, and I definitely haven't read it.
Yeah, he's...
mainly because I probably wouldn't understand it.
He's got some books out. Yeah,
Dietz casually said space to us, like we must know what this means. And then you start delving into this, and there is a lot of maths in space.
He's a maths dude, obviously. I'll tell you a little bit about him. Elected Fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society of London.
Astronomical?
Hang
on. Can we try that word again, Ryan? Sorry. Astronomical? Can we just try that word just one more time?
The hazelnut's so lovely, isn't it? Thanks. Shout out Woodstock Prairies. Astronomical.
There we are.
Society. Royal Astronomical Society. A fellow at the age of 19. His first research paper on relativistic astrophysics was published in London by the society. Then he serves as a director of cosmic dust at the University of Wits, professor, where he was a professor in the School of Computational and Applied Mathematics.
Ladies and gentlemen, fresh from Ryan's boot, please welcome Professor David Block.
So it's very, very cool. This little bit, he's the only scientist on the continent of Africa whose research work has twice been featured on the cover of the world's most prestigious scientific journal, Nature.
Right.
So there's cool things. Okay, but his expertise which leads to my first fact, is in ga- galac- spiral galaxy morphology.
Okay.
Spiral galaxy morphology. And it led me to the different types of galaxies. And so my fact is that this.
And I suppose for spiral galaxy morphology is how does a spiral galaxy form, right? Okay. Okay.
And so
And
my
I think
fact
I
is.
think it's formed by two colliding galaxies, isn't it? It's formed by two galaxies that collide, and then their gravitation starts influencing each other. So that's how they'll end up forming this kind of
Spiral.
this Catherine wheel kind of galaxy. If I'm thinking
I'm
about it
glad
correctly,
you're going down how galaxies are formed, because my fact is that spiral galaxies and elliptical galaxies are an evolution. And what I mean by that is the one becomes the other one. Do you know what?
I
Have you
see.
heard of the elliptical galaxy?
No, but I mean, I'm pretty sure we can sort of work that out, right? But it makes sense because, as I say, spiral galaxies. As I say, I think a spiral galaxy is developed when two galaxies that are moving towards each other, and currently the Milky Way is moving towards Andromeda galaxy. We're going to collide.
We're going to spiral with them.
Yeah, we're going to collide with each other at some catastrophic point in the future that I will thankfully not be here for. But yeah,
What's the big deal of two galaxies
slowly
collide?
Andromeda's been moving closer and closer and closer towards us.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm actually just going to
that
send
our
this person a
neighbor?
message because they're just sending us
Do
a
it.
million
Who's he? Is a
messages.
friend? Girlfriend?
No.
Boyfriend? What?
Uh,
Mum? Because. Do. Yes, so. I mean, it begs the question. It's not just about things in a galaxy hitting other things. It's going to affect the entire orbit of everything.
Right. So
Everything's
what
going to
happens
be out of sync, out of
the
whack.
The galaxies essentially, because they're all made of stars, right? So then they come together and their gravity, and they're both turning, right? So they're both spinning. So depending on which direction they're both spinning when they collide, and at what angle they hit each other, and how far apart the various parts are, they can sort of cause each other to spin together or spin against each other.
Good bloody
And
grief.
then that causes these kind of interesting patterns in the galaxies. And in fact, our Milky Way's interesting pattern was caused by a collision with another galaxy at some point in the
previous
distant past, some point before the last 6,000 years when God created the Earth. Right? Yeah,
Wasn't
so
the flood. Didn't the flood really have a big effect? The flood?
No, not very much not very much of an effect. Yeah,
We're not talking about the Lanesburg flood. Yeah, we're talking about a big flood.
I mean, the Lanesburg flood was pretty big, right? It was pretty big.
No offense to Lanesburgians.
No, definitely. Listen, I'm sure the Lanesburgians are the first to understand that their flood is smaller than the Great Flood from the Bible. They're the first ones to believe that, right? Can we?
Do you think that the one leads to the other?
one
Spiral,
evolves into
elliptical, evolves into the other.
As they decay and kind of pull closer together? Yeah, possible. It's possible.
Well, you'd be right. It is true. It starts spiral and then goes elliptical. Spiral galaxies usually have a spiral arm and a disk, while elliptical galaxies only have prominent bulge without a disk. So the prominent bulge is for the...
Yeah, Ryan, I've been meaning to talk to you about your prominent bulge. I'm not... Can we face it away from me if possible at all?
Well, I am an elliptical galaxy. so I think the bulge occurs because while it's spiraling, it's attracting things. I don't know. And it's just growing and growing in its center. So they think the spiral becomes
I would imagine as it turns... Like, just imagine a Catherine wheel. As a Catherine wheel spins, and then it slows down, and everything kind of drifts towards the center.
Yes.
And that kind of gravitational. I mean, I don't know if I'm making any sort of sense, and there's probably an astronomer out there who's getting super angry. But I'm literally thinking through this rather than knowing this from knowledge. Anyway, but Ryan's next fact is about Aries and how Aries can affect your moods.
Definitely.
So that's astronomers should stick around for that.
Goody. So that's my fact.
Okay. All right. Yeah. These things are always they're so difficult for humans to kind of conceptualize, and I'm always blown away by the kind of people who do work these things out. You know, when you do see the maths, you know, of what light looks like and how just how they work out what a star is made out of. You know, how they break down the light forms to try and work out exactly what percentage of different elements are in particular stars. That is maths that is being done from hundreds of millions of miles away from something.
And exactly, and the light we're seeing now happened a long time.
Exactly. And you're using that to work out things like what that star is made out of. This brain is too stupid for that stuff.
Even me.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, which is why now I've kind of brought things a little closer to Earth.
Oh, thank God.
For my second fact, yeah. And my second fact is that man, that is us, all men and women, right? I use man in a very generic...
number the stars of the sky.
I mean,
like it says in
man has never left Earth's atmosphere, is my fact.
That's a lot of horse. It's a lot of bollocks. I know besides the lunar landing, which was filmed in a Hollywood studio, besides, at some point they did, and then they left and went far away. I mean, Tom Cruise nearly left Earth's atmosphere in the second Top Gun because it went really, really high. That test in the opening scene.
That's the traditional image of Earth's atmosphere. Is like it's a skin on an apple, right?
Yeah.
That it's this tiny, thin thing that we somehow exist within.
Yes, unless you're busy with some sort of factual trickery, I think you're speaking bollocks. I think we've definitely left Earth's atmosphere. We've gone to the moon, and I don't know if we've gone beyond humans, but we've gone far. And Russians and monkeys and everything. So
Russians and monkeys. I mean, even monkeys. I sometimes think about that. You look up at the stars and you see a shooting star across the sky. It's beautiful, but that might just be the return to Earth of a deceased monkey in a can that was fired up there in the 1960s. You know, like a monkey in a bean can that was like fucking shot up there with fireworks by NASA in like 1944. You know, and then you're like, oh, that's beautiful. It's this fucking monkey skeleton returning to Earth. I mean, it wouldn't be a monkey skeleton. I don't think anything would decay up there, would it? Gotta have air, and they definitely didn't give those animals.
And it's
air.
Nice and cold, so it'll.
Or maybe it'll shake it off, land on Earth in its bean can, shake it off, and run off into the jungle. Let's hope. But
yeah, there's an idea there. If you want to preserve things and come back in 1,000 years because life's a bit crappy, then we send you up there. You'll be cryogenically frozen.
So people
we can just pull you back when it's your time.
But they've been sending cremains up there, right? So, you know, like people's cremated ashes, they've been sending those into space. You can, if you live in America, because of course, America, you can have a can of your ashes put into a big gun and fired into space. And then you just become part of the space rubble up there that's just endlessly orbiting the planet. I don't know why you would do that, though. It feels
sounds
blasphemous.
expensive. And blasphemous.
Expensive, yeah, very expensive. I mean, I can't, anyway. As I say, then you're effectively just space rubble. Great, excellent. That's how I want to end my life.
But we have left Earth's atmosphere, so that's a lie.
So, I mean, most people would say
talking about the air inside their little tank.
No,
then it's like
no. There was a recent study that looked at some overlooked data collected from the last millennium, so into the 1990s. And it concluded that the edges of the Earth's atmosphere actually extends more than 391,000 miles from the planet's surface, which is roughly about twice as far as the moon. So, and at that distance, they're saying that this part of the atmosphere is so thin, and the hydrogen atoms are so
you
dispersed.
still can't breathe and all
that for all intents and purposes, you actually are in space.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's called the Geocorner, this particular part of the atmosphere, and it allegedly extends out beyond the moon.
Do you think it's getting bigger? Because it might be a way of measuring the age of the Earth as well. If you knew how big it was getting every year, then you could calculate the rate.
It's more than 6,000 years, Ryan. If that's no, it's no, Ryan. It's I think the thing is that it's just so light that it basically extends out much further than we thought. But the actual usable atmosphere, the working atmosphere, you know, for all intents and purposes, this Geocorner is space. But there are detectable hydrogen molecules.
It could have come
out
from
there
nowhere
that
else. Could have only come from
Earth's atmosphere. They are
Great fact.
they're all part of Earth's atmosphere.
Look, that's the problem with studying space is you've got to be able to picture things that you study. So when you study anatomy, biology, and you can cut open a frog, you know, you can't cut open a galaxy. Someone's got to draw you, put some models around, and then you can kind of picture it.
That's what maths is, right? Like it's a human model.
Good Lord.
Of what the universe is.
Yeah.
And some people speak that human model language, and I get confused the second you put an X in the theorem. You know, like then I'm.
But you know where I can make a metaphor of Earth's atmosphere expanding or being beyond where we think it is like the Congo River blasts so much fresh water into the ocean that when you're out there for up to 5 Ks, like the old sailors used to dip their hand into the ocean and it was still fresh water. So that's like the fresh water extending past its boundaries. I don't know if I'm right about 5, but it's a significant distance.
Yeah, I believe the Amazon is the
out.
same. It's also it's many kilometers off.
Yeah, so that's crazy, man. That was a great fact.
Yeah.
I've also got a fact closer to home. Oh, you're going to love this. So you know Mr. Carl Sagan? Do you know a lot about him?
The pale blue dot.
Pale blue dot, man. My fact is that he was the assistant director on 2001 Space Odyssey.
Carl Sagan?
Yeah.
No, it was Arthur C. Clarke.
Assistant director.
Oh, you're saying he was also there. Carl Sagan was there also. I'm pretty sure it's because Arthur C. Clarke obviously wrote 2001. So yeah, Arthur C. Clarke.
Kubrick, yeah, Kubrick's he was the director.
So what happened is I think they made the film together with the book. They released it at the same time, I believe is what happened. I think you're trying to lure me in with the Carl Sagan Arthur C. Clarke thing. I think I'm gonna stick with my own Arthur C. Clarkeism, and I'm gonna stick to that and fuck you for trying that shit, Ryan. Like I'm getting arrogant about it now.
You think I'm lying?
I think you're lying.
Fuck. Damn. Oh, what a terrible thing I just did. So, Bug, I should have stuck to the truth. I am lying because I thought. So the fact is this. The fact is that he did help as an advisor. But not as an assistant director. That was talking shit. That's the lie. And you said it was a lie. So it is a lie. But he did help as an advisor. He was an advisor on 2001 Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick's movie.
Okay. Yeah, and as I say, it's not a case of I think the book was produced first and then the movie. I think they were kind of made at the same time. Yeah.
That's unusual, eh? So obviously Kubrick was a big fan, and then boom, it came out, and like, I really need to study more about that guy's life because it is a very interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, have you watched 2001: A Space Odyssey?
No, just bits here and there.
Yes, as I swear, modern people will not be able to watch it because you'll just look at your phone the whole time. It's incredibly boring. It's very long and incredibly boring. And then, I mean, just that opening scene with the monkeys and the obelisk. Dun, dun. Yes,
and then that weird relationship between the guy and the talking
hell
thing. Like it's been on in the background. Maybe it was a Sunday afternoon on Mnet many, many years ago, and I was kind of falling asleep. But I just remember the computer started singing Daisy, Daisy. Daisy.
I can't do that, Dave. Yeah. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I can't do that, Dave. Yeah, anyway, I mean, the movie's insane, but it's also, very, very boring. And I say that as a person who generally would.
Are you an admirer of Kubrick's work?
I would like to come here and tell you, as a person who understands what it is that makes a cultured and refined individual in this world, right? And I would like to come here and tell you that I am one, and that I admire Stanley Kubrick. But I think he was a lunatic, and I think he was quite possibly a sexual deviant and a very disturbed human being. I watched Eyes Wide Shut. I watched
Clockwork Orange.
I watched. Yeah, that was the other one.
What about also he made the first version of Lolita. Am I right? Black and white?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that was a novel before it became
But not the Jeremy Irons version. That was later. That was Adrian
Jeremy
Lyne.
Irons never has an actor had a career playing perverts. like Jeremy Irons got himself hard typecast as a pervert, like Madame Butterfly, Lolita. Like he was constantly like
The perfect.
yeah, the kind of sexually depraved, easygoing. He explored every aspect of his nature in that department. Scar, definitely. There's something about sexually deviant about Scar from The Lion King.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, him and the hyenas, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, children.
Yeah, the old Jeremy Irons. No, honestly, like it was like if somebody was like, "Oh yes, we need someone who's gonna play a deviant serial killer. He's gonna live in his basement and torture small animals." And Jeremy Irons, what are you doing here? Sorry, I believe I heard that you were casting for.
Yeah, shame either him or poor John Malkovich also cracks the nod for weirdos. Eh?
Yeah,
he's probably
I
a
think
very
John
nice
Malkovich.
guy.
Yeah, at least John Malkovich did some other stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like Jeremy Irons exclusively did perverts. Or maybe it is that whatever role Jeremy Irons did always just came across as a pervert. Maybe that's what it actually is. Jeremy Irons, let us know. Shout out.
Jeez, we just suddenly started speaking about movies
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
which is
yeah.
great. But yeah, that was so that's well done. You got that.
Okay, good.
It was a lie,
Good.
but
I'm
he
glad.
did help. He did work on the movie.
Oh yeah, if you hadn't
Carl.
messed up your fact, perhaps it would have been better.
I'm doing so crap this episode points wise, but I'm doing very well beer wise.
All right, so now this next question of mine relates a little bit to the past one. Because I'm going to ask you a kind of a strange fact. So here's the story. On March 25th, 1961, a group of peasants in a small town called Ishevsk in Russia saw a man fall from the sky.
Shit.
He was flailing his arms, kicking
Oh
his
my
legs. He wasn't speaking. He wasn't making a sound. His legs were just kind of buffeted by the wind. He fell, hit the ground, and they called a paramedic team to go and rescue him. My fact is that his name was Ivan Ivanovic, and he was the very first of only 4 people to ever actually died in space. That's my fact.
Oh, shame. 1961.
1961, yeah.
The lunar landing was early 60s,
So I'll place this in time for you.
Please,
I'll place this in time for you. This is just before Yuri Gagarin's successful. This is literally like a year before Yuri Gagarin's successful trip into space.
So were there some failures? Died in space, eh? Died in space. And he fell.
Yeah.
And his arms were flapping
Like
about
literally
in a
loose,
village in
yeah.
Russia.
What happened was literally loose. Yeah.
You know what's quite nice? Or is it? But it sounded like he's got a Russian name. It sounded like he took off from Russia, went to space, landed in Russia. I mean, what are the chances? a mathematician could work
I
it
mean,
out.
yeah, I suppose it really depends. What if maybe he took off from Vladivostok and then this town of
But Russia's big.
Izevsk is like right near Moscow, maybe. You don't know.
He's not one of us. Kill him anyway. He's
No,
Russian.
but yeah, they called paramedics and
Gosh, this sounds so crazy. Died in space. How would they know? How would they bloody know? It's got to be a lie. It's got to be a lie.
So I'll tell you how they know. They knew. They were
Okay.
tracking. So the space center was tracking his heartbeat, and it stopped.
That's amazing. Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to say it's true because of that little sub fact you gave me. So they would have seen, oh, it's gone. It's left our atmosphere, despite what your previous fact might have said. It's left our atmosphere. They're in space. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. We have to ignore my previous fact.
Yeah.
We have to use a more traditional understanding of our atmosphere.
And then yes, I'm going to say it's true. They realized he died in space. They must have ejected it, must have fallen apart because he just felt, this is too much for my brain. I have to make a decision. Yes, it's true.
Okay. So this incident, as I describe it, is absolutely true. People from the town, hang on. Don't get too excited. People from the town of Izevsk did in fact see a man falling from the sky, and they did in fact call paramedics. and a heartbeat had been tracked at the center. But what it was effectively a crash test dummy where they'd attached a heartbeat to him. But now what's interesting about this is his name, Ivan Ivanovic, started getting spread around the world, as in Russian space race astronaut dies, and the Russians astronauts, the cosmonauts are all dying, and Russia's hiding the deaths. But in fact, it was a crash test dummy. When the paramedics arrived and they discovered it was a dummy, one of them apparently punched him in the face. But yeah, so this Ivan Ivanovic as a name in Russia effectively translates to like Joe Blogs in England. So they'd named him this. But yeah, the West caught wind of the fact that a cosmonaut had fallen to Earth. And he'd been, they'd been tracking his heartbeat, and they were like, oh, shit, the Russians must be close to space now because this guy has died, and they're covering it up, and they're hiding the fact that, but they're at the point where they're sending men into space, they're throwing men up and into space.
And that might have been the reason that they hauled ass to get a man on the moon.
Well, they lose. So they lose. Well, the next year, Yuri Gagarin actually does make it to space. But yeah, essentially what happens is that this incident causes so many rumors to spread and so much stuff to spread that for years, I mean, even now, like there've been comprehensive books written on the history of the Russian space race and about how it's absolutely impossible. No cosmonauts were killed at that stage. This rumor persists that the Soviet government was recklessly throwing men into space because of this one particular incident. So it's historically, this story has existed.
Yes, so
and
it
in that
depends
way,
how
it's
you
true.
phrased your fact. We'd have to play back.
Well, I mean, the way I phrased it was I said that they watched a man fall from the sky, and they did not. They watched the crash test.
Did he have a winky?
They watched it. Apparently, he was very lifelike. They'd put eyebrows on him and eyelashes and all sorts of things. But yeah, so he he was unfortunately not a man. He was a crash test dummy. And this, but yeah, I mean, just as kind of a fact, and as I say, more with a traditional view of what space is. Only 3 people have actually died in space. They were Georgy Dobrovolsky, Vladislav Volkov, and Viktor Patsayev.
All Russians,
Yeah. So they were all in the same. They were on Soyuz 11 mission, and just before they'd already kind of angled for re-entry, and just before they re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, the cabin decompressed and killed them all.
Oh,
So they are the only people to have died in
I
space,
see.
officially, because it decompressed, and it was the decompression in space that killed them.
Oh, shame.
So a lot of people say that when the Columbia returned in 2003 and then it broke apart, that's 7 astronauts who also died in space, but it's not, because the reason the Columbia broke apart was because one of the protective flaps kind of came off, and it was in fact the friction with Earth's atmosphere that caused it to break apart. So they died in Earth's atmosphere. These 3 died out in space. So they're the only 3 people that have ever died in space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then when you think, that Apollo 13 mission, those guys could have died in space, assuming you believe that space doesn't, that our Earth's atmosphere doesn't extend beyond the moon. But
Wow, man, that's a great fact. Shame. Crash test dummy, Ivan Ivanovic. So the jokes about the Russian. Ivan Ivanovic walks into a bar. He said,
yeah, there's like Joe Blogs walks into a bar, John Doe. It's that sort of a name in Russia. So that's why they called him Ivan Ivanovic.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
My next fact is all about Heli's Comet. I realized it was 1986, grade 2. I didn't see it, but you could go on a trip to the planetarium. Did you go to the Vits?
No, my parents took me outside and they pointed at the sky for quite a long time. And they went, just said, look, it's over there. And they got out binoculars, and then they were holding the binoculars to my face. And there it is, it's there. And eventually I got so awkward at not being able to see it that I just said, yeah, I've seen it. And then they put me down and I went inside and I never saw Halley's Comet. And I've got to now wait 76 years.
Just we better make it. We
I've
better
got to make it
it.
to like 82. It's not technically impossible.
We have to go to the Karoo somewhere.
We do see its tail often, once a year, because we pass through its tail once a year, the fragments of its tail.
Oh.
So yeah, it's maybe it's twice a year. But there's times of the year where we get kind of falling stars in the sky, and those happen to be Halley's Comet's tail. But we'll only see it again whatever 76 years from 1986 is.
That's right. The first time that it was observed was 240 BC. That's the first kind of recording they think. They're very certain. But the first time they realized that this thing is coming back again and recurring, because obviously a lot of people would have thought, oh, there's different comets, Then they're like, oh, well, this specific one is actually coming back The first time they realized that was in 1905. The astronomer Edmund Halley understood that these appearances were reappearances of the same comet.
I thought it was much earlier. I thought they'd worked out that it was the same comet. That there was a prediction. Somebody made a prediction. He said, "Oh, it's going to come back on this date." Maybe it was Edmund Halley, but I thought it was much earlier. I thought it was like the 1600s. I thought someone, maybe it was Newton or one of these guys, had managed to work out that this was a reoccurring thing and made a prediction that it would return, but then never actually named the thing. And I think Halley mapped the. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else entirely, but I'm going to say it's false. I'm going to say it was much earlier than Edmund Halley.
You're on fire this episode. I'm going to come up with new tricks. I'm going to have to try and... I'm going to get it right again. I started off the podcast series so well. I was able to nail Warren with these lies, but now he's got weird...
I think it's important you go home and beat yourself with a birch stick right now. It's very important.
No, you spot on. It was not 1905. It was 1705. Okay. Edmund Halley, who made the claim and understood that these appearances were in fact reappearances, and that's all about.
So it was Edmund Halley who made the prediction that it would come back on a specific date, and okay. So I mean, I was wrong about that. I thought, I just remembered it being quite early that this prediction had happened. So I didn't read that Edmund Halley wasn't a 1905 astronomer.
And when I was looking at this fact, there's two awesome words. So it does some kind of weird orbit around our kind of. I better get this right. Solar system. So it goes around the sun in a weird. What's the shape? It's kind of it's not a circle. It's a vibe,
like an oblong.
Yeah, that type of thing. And then there's a lovely word called Peleon and Perihelion. So when it's at its aphelion, it's furthest away from the sun, and when it's at its perihelion, it's nearest to the sun.
So how close does it get to the sun? What do we know?
It goes like if the sun's over here, and the outer solar system is over there, it goes quite far, but then it just circles the sun, so it gets quite close to the sun, then far away again. But obviously not too close to the sun that it crashes into it. And
so maybe by going close to the sun, gets an extra blast of energy, extra melt, and that's what fires it off into the outer reaches of the...
It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's Halley's Comet. So, what?
Yeah, as I say, I mean, that's one of my great regrets in life is that I lied to my parents about seeing Halley's Comet. I was feeling bad. I was kind of like, I can't see this thing.
Well, I'm a gullible chap. I'm a believer. No, I like to call myself a rational believer, right? But even then, I think they sent us to the Wits Planetarium from Vereniging in a bus, and then we looked at our necks got sore, and we looked at the thing, and it was the whole show, and then the Halley's Comet went across the sky of the planetarium. Then we got a certificate saying at the end that we'd seen Halley's Comet, and I'm like, bullshit.
You haven't really.
And I was like 6 or 7, and I'm like, no, this is bullshit.
But I seem to remember that they actually got the dates wrong, or at least we did in South Africa, for when it was going to be brightest in the sky, and they advertised that it was going to be a specific date. But the date that they advertised was in fact like 2 weeks after its best appearance in the sky. So people were trying to see it when it was already going away. So in a way, it was my lying 6-year-old self that's to blame for me not seeing it. And the other bit is somebody cocked up the maths, which all as I've stated already, I fully understand. I absolutely get it when people cock up the maths. That's I did that for 5 years in high school. That's like how it all works.
That was Halley's Comet. There was
Yeah.
another one in high school called Hyakutake, a comet, but I never bothered looking at that. But apparently that, and it was 1996. I was in matric. Yeah,
Okay.
Hyakutake, another comet visiting us that you could see, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, there've been a few. Obviously, Hale-Bopp comet was a big one.
When was
that? Well, that's the one that the Heaven's Gate guys killed themselves to leave on. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Nice. Anyway, so here's a quick one. The 3 brightest objects in the night sky are in order the Moon, Venus, and Jupiter. In the night sky, Ryan. Very important. Not the day sky. It's very important. It's the night sky. Moon, Venus, and Jupiter.
Is that just all 3 lumped together, or must I in order?
That's
of
in order.
brightness?
No, in order.
Moon,
Venus, and then Jupiter. That's my fact. The 3 brightest objects in the night sky.
No, there's Alpha Centauri, man. Come on. Alpha Centauri, man.
I mean, like ahead of Mars and Saturn and
Yeah. And Orion's belt. Bright.
You think Orion's belt is brighter than Mars?
Such a tricky question.
I mean, you know Venus has to be second, right? I mean, they call it the morning star.
Brightness. That's...
I mean, the other thing called the morning star is Satan. So, you know.
Oh, that's right. Look
maybe
at you.
maybe it's the Moon, Venus, and Satan.
Yeah, you know, his pre-fallen name is Lucifer. Which means...
No, Ryan, focus. We're talking about science here.
Oh, theology.
Yeah.
It's the
The
same.
mythology episode was a few weeks
It's
ago.
all the same. No, man. It's got to be a star at night. Alpha Centauri. You got the moon. You got a moon and 2 planets. No. Brightest. No. Lie. Please be lying. Please be lying. It's a lie. I say Alpha Centauri. Maybe you can even see the sun at night. The moon is very bright when it's bright. Yeah. Okay. That's a lie because Alpha Centauri.
I mean, it is a lie, but not because of Alpha Centauri. It's a lie because it's actually Moon, Venus, and then the International Space Station.
Oh, what?
And then Jupiter. Yeah. The International Space Station is the third brightest object in the night sky. You can actually see it if you know where to look. It looks like a very fast moving kind of plane.
Jeez.
So quite bright. Obviously significantly smaller.
Why is it so bright?
Well, because it's reflecting light. It's made out of metal.
Right. So it's not
Up there
we're
reflecting
gonna put the
sun.
lights on so they can see us. It's not
Yeah.
that.
You can go to a website, spotthestation.nasa.gov/tracking map, and you can see at any given point where the International Space Station is. So you can see when it's going to cross over your country, and you can go out and have a bit of a look. But yeah, so it's actually the Moon, Venus, the International Space Station, and then Jupiter.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good. Nailed you, but not for the right reason.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad I nailed you, but how much do you know about Saturn's rings?
Is my ex ask you to ask this question? It's about Saturn and Mavericks.
Well, it depends. It's like it's all about what they're made of. So yeah, my fact is they're made of 90% ethane and 10% cosmic dust.
I mean, ethane. Yeah, I mean, technically, if it's ethane, then we could use that as a jet propulsion like substance, right? We could go to Saturn's rings, ruin them all. Apparently, Saturn's rings, they're only visible for a few, relatively in the cosmic terms, like a blink of an eye, because they have to gather around the planet, and then the planet's going to slowly kind of suck them all in, and then they're going to be gone. So they're only going to exist literally for this little kind of brief period. And
Do you think they've existed from the formation of Saturn, or was there something that caused their...
No, so I mean, I believe that I've got a funny fact in my head that I don't know how factual it is, and you might be able to, that they're even more recent than kind of when man first started appearing on
Really?
Earth. Yeah, I think there's some kind of funny, or maybe anyway, but ice and dust, I think, as far as I'm aware, that's why they glow. So you didn't mention ice. You said dust and ethane, so I'm gonna
90%, 10%.
Yeah. So are you
gonna nail you on the percentages? I'm gonna nail you. Hey, I'm judge, jury, executioner of my own facts. Thank you very much. I can say wrong. It was 87%, 13%. No, okay. So I'm saying 90%, 10% ethane and cosmic dust.
Yeah, no, I think I believe there's probably ice and chunks of other stuff up there, but maybe you're being very general. I'm gonna say you're a liar just because you're filth liar. You're filth pig who lies a lot. It would be nice to hear you tell the truth for once, Ryan. Quite honestly, that's what I want to hear. I want to believe in you again, Ryan. I'm like I'm like a wife who's been cheated on 4 or 5 times too many. I just can't believe the things that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, you want to believe in me. Well, it ain't gonna happen now, darling, because it's another lie. It's 95% water
Yeah,
and 5% cosmic dust. But I did look, amidst all the research on Wikipedia, that ethane is a thing that you get in outer space.
right. Good.
It's a sort of a
it's just-
liquid. It is found in liquid form in space.
Yeah, I think we'd be able to propel jet craft with it.
Crazy, eh? Fucking,
Probably, yeah.
oh, they should fucking mine that shit.
I mean, yeah. Once we're out there, who cares about the carbon neutrality of the solar system,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Can
no,
rev up those carbons.
yeah, and then Dietz can carry on in his helicopter,
Yeah, exactly.
Tubazimbi
Ruining
and
the Earth's atmosphere.
motorbike, on one person on a motorbike, 2 Tubazimbi, a helicopter around it. That's just one footprint, and it's a big foot. So
Yeah, it's huge.
yes, it need water, but hey, water's what their rings are made of.
Nice, nice. We're on to the multiple choice section, Ryan.
Wow.
On to multiple choice, and here's mine. Which of these is the true reason for why Pluto is no longer considered a planet? 1. It's not cleared its neighboring region of other objects. 2. It's too small. 3. A large chunk broke off, rendering it too small to be considered a dwarf planet anymore. And 4. Its orbit is not elliptical.
Elliptical, that's the word.
Was that the word you were
Yeah,
looking for?
it's
All
also
right.
that shape, like a sort of a fat surfboard.
No, elliptical just means round. Yeah.
Doesn't it more mean that shape, more oval type shape? Yeah, it's the definition is the distance
Let's
must
see,
always be the
let's see.
okay. All right, I love those facts. I love those points. Can you one more time those 4 options?
Yeah,
Why is it
sure.
no longer?
It's not cleared its neighboring region of other objects. It's naturally too small. A large chunk broke off, rendering it too small to be considered a dwarf planet. Its orbit is not elliptical. So it was either never big enough, or a piece broke off, so they had to then downgrade it, or its orbit is elliptical.
Oh, it's a fascinating fact. I mean, my gut says it's simply a matter of size. Too small, sorry, Pluto. But
Sizes, Ryan. Sizes.
A chunk broke off. I've also heard that also sounding familiar. The orbit not elliptical. Oh, come on. If it's a big, beautiful planet, but I'm sorry, your orbit's not elliptical. No. The other one was a weird fact. What was it?
Oh, it hasn't cleared its neighboring region of
Ooh.
other objects.
Is that the criteria for a planet? Eh? Yes, see, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say a chunk broke off, and now it's fucking no longer small. So, if the true answer is it's just not big enough, and I go no, it's a chunk broke off, I'm gonna be so pissed with myself. But I'm going with a chunk broke off, and it's downgraded.
So yeah, it used to be big enough, and
Yeah.
it's not anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
So the 3 things. There's now 3 things that you need to define a planet. It's got to be an orbit around a star. So it doesn't have to be an elliptical. It doesn't have to be a specific shape.
Okay,
It just
good.
has
So
to
the
be an
orbit,
orbit
yes.
around a star, right? It has to be of sufficient mass to assume hydrostatic equilibrium, which is to say that it has to be round. So the gravity has to pull it together so that it's round in order for it to be of a particular size.
planet, okay.
And it has to have cleared its neighborhood.
No.
Yeah, around its orbit. So it has to basically have picked up all of the cosmic junk in its orbit so that it's not constantly being collided with and constantly being like, with other objects. And Pluto has not done the last. So
Damn it,
that's,
Pluto.
yeah, so that's why it. A lot of people are like, oh, because there were at the same time that they were making this decision, there were other things of a similar size found to Pluto, and it caused a lot of consternation amongst astronomers because they sort of said, oh well, what are we going to define as a planet? How are we going to define it? Do we need to upgrade this thing? And then they sort of set on these three terms. And in fact, all those things out there on the far reaches, which is basically just ice and rock and whatever's left, the detritus of the galaxy, a lot of it would qualify as planet. Pluto would qualify as a planet. It's reached that kind of round status. It's got enough gravity, all the rest of it. But because it's all such a mess out there, and they haven't actually cleared their orbit, none of it can be considered a planet.
Oh, man.
So there you are.
Wow.
That's what it
Pluto.
is. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's the actual reason, eh?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. That's strange. Because you were taught that as a kid, and now, shame, it's not.
I know, we had to learn 9 planets. Kids these days, they have it so easy.
Yeah, like one less a little ball to find, polystyrene thing to paint for their project.
That's right.
We had 9, you have 8.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they've got 30 years more of history they've got to learn. So, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's always going to be capped at 6,000. So
you know what I want? I want a website that you can go on, and you type the year that you matriculated, and they'll tell you all the scientific things you were taught at school that have now been disproven since then. Because, they were still teaching us Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics in the 1990s, when Einstein exists.
Yeah.
Come on. What the hell are we learning about the attraction of planets from Newton? What a waste of time. All the time learning about how the planets attract one another. I'm not
crazy.
Yeah, nobody's teaching us about Einstein. I believe probably the kids of today are learning about Einstein, one would hope. It's been like 100 years. Anyway.
Look, he's reduced it to that beautiful equation, but application must be a ball ache. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, right, my little fact, again, sticking with Saturn, I got a lovely little fact around Saturn, but how many moons does Saturn have? Here's the options, it's numbery options. It's around 20, around 80, around 120, around 180?
I would say around 80. Let's go with around 80.
Yeah, so it's been in focus recently. Two moons, they want to study them. They were going to send a mission, but Jupiter won the kind of bid to be prioritized above Saturn in its mission of its moons and stuff.
So one of them's got Europa and the other one's got Titan, and those are the 2 largest moons of the
Jupiter or
solar
Saturn?
system. So one of them's got Europa. I think Jupiter's got Europa.
Yes.
Titan is around
sounds
Saturn,
familiar,
yeah.
Saturn. But one lovely little fact is Enceladus and Enceladus and does it ring a bell? The name of that moon? Enceladus.
Okay. Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, so what's really amazing is what's got everybody talking is that its south pole is it geysers?
Oh,
Geysers,
yes,
yeah,
of
and they
potential water, I think.
Yeah, it spews ice at supersonic speeds, and the output is so voluminous. How do you say that word?
I'm enjoying the way you're speaking English in this episode. It's going well.
Voluminous.
Yeah, there you are.
Voluminous.
Yeah.
It contributes ions to Saturn's magnetosphere and has a significant effect on the planet's magnetic field. That one planet spewing with its geyser ice into the atmosphere is actually affecting the magnetic field.
But
Saturn.
Is that the one that they say might have life? Where they think there's potential for it to actually have...
That little moon.
Yeah, one of the moons of Saturn, they've said has got a lot of the characteristics that are necessary for life.
Well, if it's spewing water in its south pole...
I once got salmonella and I spewed water out of my south pole.
But it's the other moon. The thing about that moon is it's only 1/7 the size of our moon.
Okay.
So it's
Tiny
and to be
little
spewing
thing,
so much ice.
So essentially, it's going to
amazing.
vanish at some stage.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, where is all that ice coming from?
It's mind-mangling. Love it.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely good. So that's space deets, you dick. You see, we didn't even have to do the maths you were hoping for.
Spacey was just one beer. You're on your second. That's much better.
Yeah.
But one of Einstein's quotes is, and it's quite a comforting quote when all is
Is it
said
a
and
real
done.
quote or is it a quote you read on the internet?
It's on YouTube. So
Okay,
it
so
was one of-
who knows?
So one of
really?
his, it had his face and had the quotation marks,
Uh-huh.
and it said quotes from Einstein, 5-minute video. And then, but it said the universe is mostly a peaceful place. So there's a lot of shit that happens. Meteors crash into the Earth and kill the dinosaurs. I know that's not nice, but besides that, there's a lot of shit going around, and it's mostly a peaceful place. That's what he said. That's what Einstein said.
I'm
I'd like
not
to
sure Einstein would.
leave our folks with that.
All
That
right,
the
let's
universe
leave
is
people with that.
mostly-
But I think it's
Ukraine,
bullshit.
not necessarily a peaceful place at the moment, but the universe is mostly.
Like overall, yeah. I mean, there's an awful lot of nothing out there. You know, there's
Yeah.
the Great Void, which is what, like 500 billion light years of fuck all. You know, so,
Where's
so,
that now?
So
In the
you know,
mid- somewhere near the
so
middle.
So there's a spot.
So there's like a. So
Never
the
mind us. You can.
The
turn off-
universe has like a Karoo as well.
Yeah. So there's there's an Ernst Rutz's brain of space where fuck all happens. Nothing. There's nothing there. And you know one of
Like
the
the
theories.
Saskatchewan of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
How you
there's-
doing, eh?
Ryan's
about
sex
that?
life of the universe with his.
That's Saskatchewan.
Yeah, but it's
So
this huge space where there's absolutely nothing, literally nothing in it. And one of the theories for why there's nothing in it is that another universe collided with us there and destroyed all of the matter that was in that one section. So there you are.
Get it.
That is a multi-universe theory, and go home with that.
Yeah.
Like, let's do-
Besides that, it's
yeah.
mostly peaceful, said Einstein.
Yeah.
But thanks for watching and thanks for listening. We'll see
And
you
please
soon.
leave a review, click like, share with your friends. Dear God, please, we're not asking you for money yet.
Yes, that's coming. When we start the churchy cult, which is coming soon, the space church cult, and then also on YouTube. Hey, yeah, like and subscribe on YouTube. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and tell your friends. Thank you very much. You guys have been wonderful.
Bye.
We love every single one of you.
We do. Love you. Bye.
All right. Good, fantastic. Hello and welcome to the podcast where good trivia is rewarded and bad lies are punished. Gee, I nearly forgot my lie.
Your
my
lies.
line. Oh, this is a bad start, Ryan. It's a bad start. Dietz is on holiday
Yes.
and he's
he-
left us with some topics.
He's in a chopper. I saw his WhatsApp pics. Like, is he in
Yeah.
a chopper?
I don't know. He looks incredibly manly, but he's left us with Blaze, who's his partner here at Old Mountain Studios, and Blaze is even more hardcore because Blaze tore his patella off in a motorbike accident
Jeez,
a couple
Blaze.
weeks ago, and he's here. He's just chilling, having beers with us. So
And the way he winds us up and gets us to perform is suddenly there's no toilet key.
yeah.
We've got all this nervous, need a wee energy, and
We didn't. Why does he need it? It's there.
no, don't press stop. This is we want
This is the edgy
we want
shit.
our listeners and our viewers to know
Yeah, just
that
how
we share
professional
a
we are.
building and we sometimes need to share a toilet key. And Dietz is in a helicopter right now over Tabazimbi with a toilet key.
Yeah, in our YouTube mansion, because isn't that how it's done? We're here with all the other YouTubers in our YouTube mansion, rolling in our Lamborghinis. Anyway, I'm gonna try that again.